Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're familiar with my work, you would have seen my book on symbiotic autoethnography. After this publication, I started getting quite a few messages from my students who are mainly on undergraduate courses who were asking me to produce something that is a little bit more simplified and gives them basic understanding of what the ways might be of writing their first autoethnography. So that was the rationale behind this new publication, which is specifically created for beginners, for those who might be attempting to write autoethnography for the first time, or for those who struggled previously with understanding what the principles of autoethnographic writing are. So to make it more simple for those readers, I decided to create chapters as steps. And therefore, you will see that the traditional chapters within this book have been replaced by steps. And the steps that we are going to be talking about will identify specific aspects of autoethnographic writing that you need to apply to your research in a kind of consecutive manner. So let's have a look at what this book is about in terms of the steps. You can see from the contents page that steps 1 and 2 are introducing you to research in general and giving you some advice on how to formulate your research question or research questions. It is also very important at this stage to decide on whether autoethnography is actually for you. Therefore, I decided to include some information about main types of autoethnography and also some advice on how to structure your autoethnography, because that seems to be causing a lot of anxiety in my students. In other steps, steps 3 and 4, I give you advice on how to write literature review in autoethnography, which is not that different from a literature review that you would write in any other traditional qualitative research. And in step 4, I will give you some information about how to justify your autoethnography as your methodology. And there will be discussion there about whether autoethnography is much different from autobiography, ethnography, or self-study, and in what way. That information will help you to write your dissertation or your thesis in terms of justifying your choice, because that's what the examiners or markers would be normally looking for, your understanding of other types of narrative research, and also justification of why you've chosen autoethnography within this spectrum. And within step 4, I also have a discussion about autoethnography as methodology or methods, because that might be one of the questions you will be asked during your viva or something that you would like to discuss within your text. In steps 5 and 6, I will introduce the idea of involving participants in your autoethnography, and also the characters or people that you write about in your autoethnography, which I call autoethnographic encounters. This is an important part of autoethnographic writing because there seems to be an assumption that you cannot use participants in autoethnography because autoethnography is supposed to be based on your own subjective experiences of specific cultural phenomena. That is not quite true, because even though your story is told by yourself through your narrative, there might be other voices that intertwine with your voice and support your own story or override your story. So it is not necessarily true that participants cannot be included into your autoethnography. And in step 6, I'm covering a very important subject of how to get ethical approval for your autoethnographic research, because it is a very, very challenging aspect of your research in terms of being specific on how you address ethical issues, and especially related to what we call relational ethics, which is particularly important in autoethnography. Indeed, because you write from the first person, and everybody knows that autoethnography is about yourself, it is very difficult to provide anonymity and confidentiality in relation to people that you write about. And within this step, I give you some advice about how to address these issues. In steps 7 and 8, I will have a discussion about how to work with autoethnographic data. And rather than talking about traditional ways of collecting data, I write about extricating autoethnographic data, because the traditional way of collecting data through interviews and questionnaires and observations might not always be applicable to your own experiences. And in step 8, we will discuss how to analyze autoethnographic data. And finally, in steps 9 and 10, I will discuss validity and generalizability in autoethnography, and how these notions can be replaced by the notions that are more applicable to autoethnographic research. And as you know, in every type of research that you carry out, you will be probably asked to identify what contribution to knowledge you make through carrying out your research. So within step 10, I identify certain information that you might find useful in writing this chapter. I also would like to say that even though this, in my view, is a clear step-by-step guide, it does not provide one single recipe about writing any type of autoethnography. So please don't think that you have to follow these steps precisely. Every autoethnography will be different, and every supervisor of your research will give you different advice on how to approach specific aspects of autoethnography. So please consider this book just as an example of how these issues can be addressed. And in front of you, you see a slide which is an image of my book. So by clicking on this image, you can read the sample without needing to install an app, and it will be useful for you in terms of identifying whether you actually do need this book or whether it's something that you can do without. So thank you again for watching and listening. That was a very short video that just introduced you to the book, and please keep sending me your comments and questions, which I will try to respond to in my next video. And if you require more information on autoethnography, please click the subscribe button, and also join me on Twitter, where you see my Twitter handle in front of you. Good luck with your autoethnographic research, and I hope to see you again on my channel. Goodbye.